Alright, welcome to today's video with Red Yellow Sabo going against Red Black Koby for the first game. I do think that Sabo has a very good shot in the OP11 meta. It is one of the better aggro decks in my opinion, and I do think that the fact that it can constantly gain a life every turn puts it a little bit ahead of some of the other good aggressive decks as well. You also have a decent matchup into most of the meta, especially against like Bello Betty. If you're able to play it aggressively, then you can just force them to have to use all the cards in their hand before they can actually play them out, forcing them to be on the back foot rather than you. And the fact that you constantly gain a life means that that's one more swing that they really have to do in order to go for a game. Here, we are just going to swing 7, and then we have 4 Dawn left up, so I'm just going to attach 1. I'm thinking about exactly what play I want to do. So I attach 1, I'm going to bounce up the Sanji, and give 2k to the Nami, so that way then I can attach 1, swing 5 there. That gets a card out of hand, and then I'm just going to swing 6, and then I'm going to play out this 2-cost Sanji. So here they play the 6-cost Helmeppo, they get the Koby, and they get the Koby effect. I do think that that's probably one of the stronger red cards to come out within recent time. Being able to just make your leader into a 7k until your next turn is really strong, and it being able to attack characters the turn that it's summoned is real strong too. So they're just clearing our board using their Peacock on their Helmeppo, and then we're at 7 Dawn here, so I'm thinking I could go, because I don't really want to swing here. He still has a bunch of cards in hand, and I kind of want to make the board a little bit. So I'm just thinking I could go Kikanojo into Sanji. I'm looking at his grave just to make sure that I can read what the Koby does. And then most likely I am going to just do this Kikanojo and Sanji. I'm going to try to get some counter out his hand by swinging 5 at 5. He does give me 1 card, so yeah, I do end up going the Kikanojo and Sanji, and then I pass the turn. So I do think that this is a decent board. He's going to have to be worried about it again. They do have multiple cards that allow them to attack active characters, so that's one of the things that I got to worry about. Here they go 5 at 5. I'm just going to give them 1k. Here they go 7 into 3. I'll give them that. That draws me a card. And then they play that 1 cost to be able to make their newly played Helmeppo be able to attack active characters. And then they play a second one, making their other Helmeppo be able to attack active characters. So they got 2 more 2Ks out of our hand. But this is pretty much game at this point. Especially since we got that Kikanojo off of life. So here, I'm just thinking about how exactly I want to do this. Because I can just go 9. See what they do. They take it, so I'm like, cool. I'm just going to go 9 again. With leader this time. And then I'm going to bounce the Kikanojo, give 2k to the active Kikanojo, put 2 more Dawn, and swing for 10 for game. Alright, so game number 2 is against Blue-Black Usopp. Still one of the better black decks out there. I do think that the Blue-Black combination is incredibly strong, especially as control. And I do think that Dressrosa is really good for those colors as well. Blue-black Usopp's known primarily just for having a lot of blockers and defenses, so this is definitely going to be one of the funner matches to watch. So here, we're just going same plan as game 1. You know, we got that 3-cost Sanji, playing that down on turn 2. You definitely want to go first with this deck. They do have the Zoro on curve, so they were able to get rid of the Sanji, but that's completely fine by me. Here, I'm thinking about just doing Karasu, which I do decide to do, making them a 4K leader and then swinging 6. This way, if they want to counter out, they got to give me 2 cards, which they do. Now, if that Karasu does last a turn, I'm able to go real deep in with my choice of either the 3-cost Zoro, the Kid Killer, or even the Luffy. Here they play a blocker, and then they swing 6 at us. I'm just going to take that one. And then they swing 7. There's no reason for me to really counter out at this point. I want to kind of protect my board. We do find the Zeus. So I do think that out of OP11, the best card for yellow is this new 2-cost Zeus, and I think that our deck takes advantage of it real well. Because it adds the card from life to hand instead of trashing it, meaning we can swing for 7 with something, then use leader effect to give 2k to another body that we're going to swing with by putting that already swung with character back on life, then use Zeus to add it back to hand. So a cool combo in this deck is being able to swing with the Zoro for 7, putting it back on life, playing out the Zeus, and then getting to be able to play the Zoro out again. So here, the Karasu did survive, so now we're just going to be swinging 6s into 4. So now that they took that one, I'm just going to go after this Bartolomeo because I don't want them to have a free blocker. They've already used leader effect once, so they can't use it again. I'm thinking about bouncing the Karasu to life and then swinging again with this Nami, making her 4k since their leader's only 4. And that is what I decide to do. That way then we're still at 3 life here, and they're not just going to be able to freely swing into the Karasu. One of the other upsides with this deck is you tend to get a lot of cards in hand. You are running a fair bit more bricks than most decks, but that's kind of the give and take when it comes to aggro decks, is you're generally going to be running more bricks. That's kind of the double-edged sword of it. Here they're going 8 into 6, so we will counter out of this. Just give them a 2k, 1k. So they only have 6 Dawn left. So they do play out this Cavendish, but they don't have stage, so we don't have to worry about that swinging in. So now they do swing 7 at 6, and I'm just going to 2k out of that one as well. And then here, we're just going to play, or we were thinking about the Dragon, but we're actually just going to play out the Karasu, make them into a 4k leader again. We're going to swing for 7 this time using the Luffy. Then we're gonna swing with leader, going for 6. Alright, we put back the Luffy. That way then we can swing 4 with this Nami. And then we're gonna play out this Kid and Killer to swing for 7. That way then they're down to no life left and they have to worry about our entire board. So here they go 6 into 5. I'll let that go. We don't have enough counter for it. So here we're just waiting to see what else they're gonna do. We do have the A-Cost Dragon in hand as a way of winning the game next turn. Just depends on how many blockers they play here. So they got 9 Dawn left. We know that they still have 2 swings. So here they're swinging 5 into 4. We'll just let that go as well. Here they're still just thinking. They do play out a Bartolomeo. So we know that there's going to be 1 blocker that we got to worry about so far. So they have 6 Dawn left. They swing 6 at us. We're just going to take that real quick. Because now we have access to 2 more swings instead of just 1 more. And then they swing 6k with their 0 attack Toy Soldier. And then this is pretty much game at this point. So they block, and then we're just going to swing for 7, and then we could swing for 9 for game. Alright, so game number 3, we got a okay hand. Red, purple, sugar, if they see the right events, can really stop us, and the game is in their favor at that point. They really need to see their 2-cost purple event that gives minus 3k to 2 things, because that will turn off our leader effect on a 7k body, because they can make the 7k into a 4k for the rest of the turn. So here we still got that Nami as our first turn, and then we're just going to swing 5. So here we do have 2 plays depending on what they do here, so we can either swing another 5 with this Nami, which is what we do. The other play that we could have done is we could have played out the 2-cost Sanji just to have a second body on the field, and we would be able to guarantee a 7k attacker next turn as well. But I kind of want to play it a little bit slow, especially because it seems like they're running more of the Big Mom Pirate version, so they're going to try to ramp fast into their Katakuris. Here they do play out a blocker, and then they just get rid of our Nami. So we're just going to swing 6, they're going to snap block that, so that way then they gain a Dawn. And then we're going to play out a Kikanojo and pass. So one of the great combos with Red Yellow Sabo is the fact that Kikanojo, we can attach 1 Dawn to her, be able to swing for 7, and then put her back into life and be able to get her back out and keep her safe. So here we're just going to take that 7k swing. We were still at 4 life, so there was no reason to counter out of it. And then they do have a Rosinante. So here we're at 7 Dawn. I'm just thinking how I want to do this. So we do want to get rid of that Rosinante for sure. So we're most likely going to play this Zeus. Here we're going to start with a swing of 6, just to get some counter out of their hand, see what they play. So they play that new 1-cost Big Mom Pirate event that goes based off of the cost on the top of our deck. And then here we're just thinking, okay, so 6 Dawn left. We could swing for a lot, or we could just swing 6, be able to play out the Zeus and a second Kikadojo. Puts us down to 2 life, but we're fine with that. So here we're going to just take the bottom, get rid of that, and then we have 4 Dawn left. So I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, so if I am going to swing for a high number here, which is 8, then I want to at least lead 2 Dawn up so we can play out a Sanji. Then I want to guarantee that we get a second body on the field this turn. And then we just pass the turn. So here they're already at 10 Dawn. The biggest play that they could make is the A-cost Katakuri, which is what they play. So now they have a big blocker every turn, but they're down to 2 life already, and they're having to constantly use their Dawn, a large amount of their Dawn. So that's less Dawn that they're going to be able to use for events. So here, I think they used Pudding Effect, so that way then they could look at the top of our deck. And then they just pass the turn. So now we're at 9 Dawn. So we're gonna start off with a swing of 6. So they do play that. So they didn't guess correctly. And then here we're going to go another 6. That leaves us 8 Dawn left. So there's a couple things that we can do here. So now we'll go a Kid and Killer, swing for 7. We're trying to get them to block, but this should pretty much be game because we have a second Kid and Killer. So this time we swing in. This is going to demand 2 cards from hand. Otherwise, they're going to take it. So they're just debating. And I'm just thinking, okay, so now that they took it, I'm going to use Leader Effect, put one of these Kid and Killers back, and then I'm just going to use the Sanji Effect, swing for 9. At that point, they need to have 5k encounter, but I'm pretty sure that they don't, and we will win the game here.